Hi scientists, today you're going to do your engineering design cycle notes. So remember, pause the video at any time you need to catch up if I'm going too fast and you need to type or highlight. First, let's talk about our essential question. How do I describe the process of engineering? So you are typing in the process of engineering and we are going to highlight that. I'm going to highlight it in yellow. Okay? All right, now let's do our textbook reading. Think about all the things you do to get ready for school. You get dressed, eat breakfast, and brush your teeth. The zipper on your pants, the toaster that cooked your waffles, even your toothpaste tube are examples of products designed by engineering. Engineering is, ding, 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 the application of science to satisfy needs and solve problems. Engineering requires both scientific and technical knowledge to design things that make life better. Now, there are two sentences that are not examples that we should highlight and underline. You can probably guess what they are because the beginning of one is highlighted, the beginning of other has a key, which means it's a key detail. So here we go. Engineering is the process. We are going to bold and underline that because that is what engineering is. Also, I'm going to move this little guy over. Engineering requires both scientific and technical knowledge to design things to make life better. I'm also going to underline that one. So, our question simply could be, what is engineering? Or why do we have engineers? You can ask either one of those questions because the answer is right here. Okay? Or what does engineering require? You could say that too. I am just going to type, what is engineering? Okay? Make sure you have a question in there. So now the definition of engineering can be summarized like this. It is the part of science, so it is a science that solves, what makes sense, that, problems. Engineering solves problems. That's why step number one in the process is problem. Engineering does a lot of things for humanity. First, it makes life easier. Okay, it makes our lives easier. Think of all the things that we have today that people didn't have 100 years ago. These things make our lives easier. They also save lives. There are things you're going to read about in the next couple slides about how engineering saves lives. Engineering can also save energy. Not only human energy, but also our natural resources. Can save energy like coal and fossil fuels. And it also saves time and money. Okay? Pause the video if you need to catch up. All right, scientists, let's take a look at our textbook reading. We're going to, again, underline and bold some things and answer the question in the yellow box. Here we go. What would life be like without electricity? You could not use the internet, play video games, or recharge your phone. However, usually you do have electricity every day because of power lines and generators designed by engineers. Engineers design products that improve your daily lives in many ways, including saving lives, energy, and time and effort. Okay, so basically this first part right here is talking all about examples. Examples about what energy and electricity does. But right here, this sentence is telling what engineers do. So we're going to bold and underline that. And our question could be, what do engineers do? That's a great question. All right, this one, saving lives. If I were to make a prediction, I would bet that this is going to talk about some way engineers have saved lives. Here we go. In 2004, a tsunami or giant ocean wave washed over Southeast Asia. It was one of the worst natural disasters ever, More than 1 million people lost their homes. As a result, engineers designed a tsunami early warning system in the Indian Ocean. The early warning system gives people time to reach safe ground when a tsunami is coming. So this process that they invented and designed helps to save lives. It helps to warn people, to give them enough time to get to safety before the tsunami hits the land. Okay? So our question could be, what does the early warning system do? And it says right here, the early warning system gives people time to reach safe ground. I'm going to highlight that. It's an example, so I'm not necessarily going to underline or bold it, but I'll highlight it because it answers our question. Okay? Now here's your job. What is another invention that saves lives? Okay? Think about when you ride in a car. What do you have to do when you ride in a car that could save your life? Think about the storms we have in Minnesota, like tornadoes. What happens if there is a tornado? What do you hear? Or if you can think of anything else, life jackets, or what other things can save our lives? Helmets that we wear when we ride our bikes, those save our lives. You answer the question in the yellow box. All right, next, let's keep reading about saving energy and time. Engineers try to make products that use energy more efficiently. For example, engineers designed hybrid cars like the one shown to the right. They run on both gas and electricity. They use less fuel and get better gas mileage. Engineers also design light bulbs that provide brighter light with less electricity. Items like these benefit the environment, so they save energy. So what kind of a question could you ask? I'm going to let you ask the question this time. Maybe you're going to ask, how did engineers improve the light bulb? How did engineers improve the car? How do engineers save energy? These are all questions you could ask. Okay? Now there's nothing we're going to highlight here because these are all examples. A car and a light bulb. So let's keep reading. Saving time and effort. Engineers have also created devices that combine different functions to save you time. A smartphone can serve as a handheld computer and a phone. A smartphone is useful for making phone calls, storing data, sending emails, and researching information on the internet. Again, pause the video and ask a question about saving time and effort. All right, here we are going to underline this top sentence because engineers create devices that save us time, and that is important for us to know. Now, let's think about the smartphone. What are the 3 effects of owning a smartphone? Like, you have a smartphone, how does that help you? Type in 3 ways a smartphone helps you. Maybe you want to look at this information right here. What can you do with a smartphone? Okay, maybe the first one is you can research information. Maybe that's one. What else could you do for a smartphone? Pause the video, answer the question. All right, scientists, last slide. Here are some examples. So the problem is, how can one travel to far places in a short amount of time? So I want you to imagine a time before airplanes. The covered wagon, the old cars, trains, ships, these were all ways that people traveled before airplanes. However, they were very slow. If you were in a wagon, it would take you months to get from city to city. Same with these cars, they were very slow. Trains made all kinds of stops every half hour, they would make a stop and they would wait. A ship traveling from New York to Europe would also take many, many months. But now we have airplanes. What are the three effects of the airplane invention? What do we have because of airplanes? What can we do because of airplanes? Maybe one thing you want to say is travel faster. What else is good about having airplanes? You think of two more. Okay, pause the video. Think of three ways, three effects of having airplanes in 2021. All right, students, and then the last thing is we need to have a question. Maybe your question is, how long did it take for people to travel in the past? Or maybe your question is, what did people use the most to travel in the past? Wagons, trains, ships? You think of a question, put it in the question spot, and then you are finished with your notes for today.